Hey guys, good evening. Tonight I want to talk about accountability, and I'd like to open with scripture from Ecclesiastes 4, verse 12. Though one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves. A cord of three strands is not quickly broken. Now, that verse makes me ponder the question, what do we need to survive? And I mean, what do we actually need to survive? Because you probably heard this question before. Some of the typical answers are food, water, and shelter. But have you ever thought about human contact as a need, and maybe that we all need each other to survive? John Donne wrote a poem about 400 years ago, and a quote from the poem is "No man is an island entire of itself." And what do you think that means? Take a second to think about that. Webster Merriman interprets the quote as people are not isolated islands. We're all part of a larger thing, and if one person's affected, then everybody's affected. But I can tell you that the Lord wants us to have good friends. He doesn't want us to be alone. We all need friends, and we don't need frenemies or the kind of friends who talk about us when we're not around, but really true friends, true Christian friends. How can you tell if somebody's a true friend? Well, do you remember the account when Peter fought the guards off in the Garden of Gethsemane to defend Jesus? He went out there and attacked him. He drew his sword. He cut one of the guards' ears off. Peter was loyal to Jesus. He was a great friend. He wasn't perfect, and he had a tendency to overreact sometimes, but nonetheless, Jesus, he kind of referred to him as the rock of his kingdom. It's the rock his kingdom was built on. Now, how about Judas? You could say he was friends with Jesus, but he betrayed Jesus for money. He followed him, was with him the whole time through his ministry, and he was considered a friend all the way to the act of the final betrayal. Now, you see, you'll have friends who will do anything for you, and you'll have friends who someday will betray you. We need to have friends who love us, but will also be honest with us when we need to hear a hard truth. Now, being a friend and always nodding and smiling and agreeing isn't really being a friend. The test of a true friend is whether or not they will tell you when you're wrong. Now, holding each other accountable doesn't mean that you take cheap shots or tell each other every single time you do something wrong, because that would get to be old, right? Holding someone accountable begins with loving them and truly caring for them, wanting them to be a better person, and expecting the same from them when you're struggling. You see, we're all stronger together, and a fancy word for that is accountability. So be accountable to each other, be friends to each other.